because that was doing something I never imagined doing. You know, I look at my daughter now, and I realize I'm going to be around for her for every important part of her life. I'm going to watch her graduate high school, and I'm going to watch her get married and have children and have her own family. And honestly, if I had stayed where I was, she said she's not going to do it. If I had stayed, if I had stayed this lady right here, I would not do those things because this, let's just be honest, this was a death sentence to me. This was me on the highest amount of blood pressure medicine that they could give me. This was me unable to walk around a mall without deep breathing. This was me every morning waking up in pain because my body hurt from carrying all of that weight. This was me being sick all of the time because I didn't eat healthy and I didn't exercise and I didn't take care of what God gave me. And this was me who went to a hospital probably about 3 months before I made the decision, and went into the hospital because they thought I had blood clots in my leg, and the machine couldn't even see if I had clots in my leg because they were too big. And sitting in an emergency room and listening to people outside talk about how fat I was and how really this was my fault because I had let myself get this way. This was me being defeated, and this is me being confident and strong and under the realization that for the first time in my life, I am truly living my life. And I am enjoying it. And every day is a new challenge and a new chapter and a new beginning and a new promise of things to come. And I'm just so excited to be here and say that as of tonight, I have lost 263.4 pounds.
I have one question to start off because I think, you know, I have known I've had 150-pound losers. I've never had anybody of this magnitude. And anybody who's sitting there in a chair and saying, yeah, she can do it, but I don't know if I can. You know, all it takes is that courage to walk in the door and that courage to say, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to let anything stop me. It's all, I think, a mind thing. And Jennifer set her mind to saying, I'm going to do it, and Jennifer did it. Out of curiosity, with the medicines you were taking when you walked in the door and all night, the medicines you're taking now, what difference?
I'm completely off blood pressure medicine. I take one medication because I have this hereditary issue. Thankful for my mom that I retain water, and so more than most normal women, that's the only medicine I take, and I've actually kind of cut that back. So, but I went from taking 360 milligrams of blood pressure medicine to nothing.
Wow. And does anybody have any other questions? Anything that you would be interested in?
Were you diabetic? I was not diabetic. I've never been diabetic. They were very surprised that I was never diabetic. That was probably always the biggest surprise when I went to the doctor, that I was never diabetic and I never had high cholesterol. And that was just that was really hereditary. You know, heredity. It had nothing to do with the way I ate. Cause like so. Yeah, but except for the pills, because I ate crap. That's it. I ate crap all the time, and I ate it in massive amounts.
Because her mother is.
Oh, my mom. Well, it really. You know, my mom is an excellent cook. My dad, as I was growing up, was the hostess cake man. Oh my God. I had Twinkies and cupcakes and honey buns. Yeah, and they were literally in a truck outside my door. And then he, you know, after he had that job, he went to work for Golden Flake potato chips. Literally, we had a truck full of potato chips and dip and salsa, and it was a you know, I could just walk out any time and I would just say, hey Dad, I'm going to go get some, you know, chips. And he'd be like, just write it down. Oh my God. So, you know, that's the way. But But I have to say this, and you guys know this as an adult, I consciously made the decision to overeat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was never anybody's fault that I got to this point. This was me. Because there came a point when I was a teenager that I knew what I was doing was wrong, and I consciously kept doing it. So, you know, there's a lot of different things that play into it, but more than anything is I made those decisions, and I had to take responsibility for my decisions.
Part of the problem is it's often a default decision, as opposed to, in other words, instead of deciding to change, you just decide to keep doing what you've been doing.
It is. It's deciding to keep doing what I've always done, because it's just easier, and because, like I said, I really like food. I like the taste of food, and I never ate for survival. I ate because it tasted good, and I wanted more of it, and I ate until I was just stuffed. And it's now understanding eating until I feel full, and recognizing the signs and stopping and walking away from it. Somebody told me one time, you have to let the fork go. That was it. Literally let it go.
Any other questions? Anybody? Any questions? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My daughter. Yes.
Can I come and hug you?
Yes.
Because this was not just Jennifer's journey. Her family, I'm sure,
Her dad.
was supportive. Her dad had been here. It's a family.
It absolutely
and
is.
it's not just Jennifer, and you've got to have support. And last week, we talked about that buddy and that pal and that somebody that will encourage you and keep you going.
That's been my dad. I mean, he will tell you and we still do it to this day. Probably me more than him. We would always say, like, what did you eat today?
Oh, gosh.
You know, what did you eat? Did you go to the gym? What did you do at the gym? That kind of thing. We get up every Sunday morning and we walk 5 miles together. And that's kind of our day to catch up and check in and to see how we're going. And I probably would not have kept going if he had not continued to go with me.
Tell them about him.
My dad has lost, I want to get this right, I think he's lost about 160 pounds. 161
That's
pounds.
so good.
Yeah. My dad will actually finish his maintenance next week.
He wanted to give her the limelight tonight.
No.
So they would be together. Anybody else? Yeah.
Do you work out a certain amount of hours every day? You said 6 days
I
a
work
week.
out at least 1 hour a day. Sometimes on the weekends I'll do 2 hours, but I do at least an hour every day. And it's some kind of cardio and strength. You have to have that. You can't do one without the other.
I have a question. A lot of times people, they look at something and it looks too hard, so they go by what they see. How did you get past that when you, especially, I mean, I teach her type.
Yeah.
When you came and you saw what it was, it can be very intimidating. How did you get past that for you to take that step to?
I think for me, like Zumba looked really difficult to me. The routines looked difficult to me, and Taebo looked, and I would see people train, and it all looked really hard. But in my mind, I would just say, just go in there, do what you can do it at your pace, and it's gonna be okay. Because you know what? Here's what I found out. Nobody else was looking at me.
No, they aren't.
I was the only one looking at me, and I was only in competition with myself.
Exactly.
And I just had to go in there and do what I could do and work up to the point that, that I would try to get better every week. But you can never let yourself be intimidated by those things. Nothing is too difficult for you. You can do anything you put your mind to it. Just do it at your pace, and don't feel like you have to go 150 miles an hour doing it. You are not going to walk in and be as good as the person who's been taking it for 10 years. You're only going to be as good as you allow yourself to be the first time.
Well, it's 6:30. Our meeting ends at 6:30. If any of you have any other questions and would just privately want to ask Jennifer something afterwards, she will be here. But before we end, we always have this little Biggest Loser, as Jennifer alluded to at the beginning, that she was her first weigh-in. She was the Biggest Loser. So I think you were the Biggest Loser last week. So let's see if you lost, for those of you that lost Since we're losing kind of on time, if you point 0.6 or more, raise your hand. 0.6 or more. 0.8 or more. 1 pound or more. 1.2. 1.4. 1.6. 1.8. 2 pounds. Notice Miss Perfect still has her hand. No. 2.4. 2.4. Okay, we're down to right here.
There's one.
2.
She's got her hand.
Okay, 2.6. 2.8. 3 pounds. 3.2. 3.4. 3.6. 3.8. 3.8. Good going. How much did you lose? 4. Give her a hand. And thanks to Jennifer's daughter, we thank you for decorating our biggest loser. She Mardi Gras it. Congratulations, you are the biggest loser. If anybody is interested and you want to talk to some of the staff out there about joining Weight Watchers, that was not the premise of the meeting. The meeting is tonight is to stand and listen to a story of an amazing story. That it's hard to even put words
I have one
into
more
it.
question. Are you going to be a leader?
She has to be at goal for a certain period of time, and then we're going to start the process. I
But
think
yeah, but then we won't have a hear her.
we'll bring her back every
You're
now
gonna
and
have
then.
to-
Hey, she
yeah.
may bump me out. And
No,
then-
no.
But anyway.
It can be just me with you,
But
Harriet.
anyway, if anybody has any questions you want to ask, and I thank Jennifer tonight for having the meeting. In fact, I'm subbing on Wednesday night, and I said, would you mind telling the story again? And she said,
Oh,
I would
that'd be great.
absolutely
Be
love
great.
to. So she's going to tell it again Wednesday night.
You need to
Uh,
do it every meeting.
The more people that hear her story,
Oh, yeah.
I think tells people, I can do this. I can do
Inspirational, it really is.
it is very inspirational. You can see it in a magazine. You can see Jennifer Hudson do her singing and,
yes,
all
I did.
that, and
Yes.
be encouraged
Yeah.
by it and
Oh, yeah.
inspired by it.
Oh, yeah.
But when you know somebody who's done this and you can talk to her face to face, that makes it a lot more down to earth. Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, you
This
can.
is my mom.
His mom and wife, the two of them don't know how many times I had checked on both of them to make sure they were still breathing. A few times my husband had sleep apnea so bad,
I'll bet.
but at times to worry about or to hear the breathing, and how many times I'd asked Jennifer so many times, "You okay?" Because the breathing was so
Oh, no
hard,
kidding.
or just to check on them. For me, it's such a blessing because I feel like I have them, my family has them, and I was so afraid I was going to lose both of them. And this has made all the difference.
As she said at the beginning, it's amazing how weight can take so much of our lives away from us. And as I've said, God gives us only one life. This is the only life we have to live. And if we don't use it and do the best we can with it, you know, there's no do-overs. You know, this is the best that you have, so take the best care of it. I appreciate you coming tonight. Please be careful going home. I hear the rain. And I appreciate you coming out tonight. And I guess Jennifer, one more hand. Is that for the beanery bus? That's the beanery bus. Y'all be careful.